Hey guys, Shane again here with One Shift at a Time, and it's Saturday night, so we're doing the power rankings. The last video went quite well, so we're going to try a little different approach. We're going to try to take our time a little and go a little slower. Let me know if you enjoy that or the quicker one. So we're going to start off with number 8, the Sabres in the East. Number 8, the Sabres. They are just not having a good time there. Their loss streak is now up to 13 games with another 3 losses this week. And Skinner, Eichel, and Hall, I believe, have only combined for 5 goals. I don't know how many millions per goal that is, but it's not good. Things are going to have to change in Buffalo. Number 7, we do have the New Jersey Devils. They actually had a good win tonight. I believe it was a 3-1 win against Pittsburgh. So that's a good start. Let's see if they can turn it around. Things are starting to become a little late. They have to make a charge now if they're going to do it. Number 6, the Flyers. Oh, wow. They had a rough week this week. They had 2 big losses. One was a 9-0 destruction at the hands of the New York Rangers, and then the New York Islanders also got on the action with a 6-1 victory over the Flyers. The Flyers were able to beat both those teams by one goal this week as well, so not too dire, but when you have 2 big losses like that, you are going to drop down the rankings a bit. That brings us to the number 5 New York Rangers. They did one of those big wins there. They also had a big 3-1 win against Washington, so we'll see if they can start to string it together. They're definitely looking a lot better than they did at the beginning of the season. Then we have number 4, Boston. The Bruins have been dropping, but who knows, maybe they got lucky with this COVID break. They can get their head on straight and turn it around. They are in self-quarantine, I believe, till Tuesday, so we will have some changes for them before next week. Alright, and that's going to bring us to number 3, the Pittsburgh Penguins. What happened? They had that nice 4-game winning streak last week, and I thought, hey, this is the team, this is what's going to happen, but now they're back at it. They're win one, lose one, win one, lose one, and this 500 hockey is just painful to watch when the talent on the team is right there. They should be winning more. But that brings us number 2, the Washington Capitals, and wow, Ovechkin is back. The grade 8 is lighting it up, and he's starting to pass a lot of people on that all-time scoring list. Look out, I believe he's up to number 6 now. It's scary. And when he plays well, so do the Washington Capitals. They're playing really well, playing some good hockey, and I'd watch out. Number 1 is still the New York Islanders. They did have a 2-win, 2-loss week, but coming off that big winning streak that they were on, I didn't see anyone else do enough to pass them. If they keep middling like that, they are going to drop, and teams like Washington and Pittsburgh will pass them. But again, Pittsburgh's also doing that same thing. So we'll see you guys in the next video. Alright, and that gets us into the Central and the number 8 Red Wings. And they actually might not be there for long. 2 wins and 2 losses this week. And we'll just see how teams around them go. But things are not looking as bad as they did in Detroit. Then, number 7, we do have the Predators. Again, they had a better week this week as well. After quite a slide they've been on. They had some big wins over some big teams. They beat both the Panthers and the Lightning this week. So we'll see if they can continue that trend. And then in number 6, we do have the Stars. And they actually have 7 OT losses, which is very helpful for them. They have also only played 27 games, so they're not really in that bad a position. They're really only at about half season played. So we'll see what they can do with that. Number 5, we do have the Blackhawks. And they have 4 straight losses. This is not good. They lost 2 to Tampa Bay and 2 to Florida, so I mean they were against good teams, but you can't just be losing games like that. It's gonna hurt, especially as this season's set up that you're only playing interdivisional games. This is hurting a lot of teams that are not getting those loser points like the Dallas Stars are. Then that brings us to number 4, the Blue Jackets. Blue Jackets have had a good week here. 2 wins, 1 loss. They have a minus 17 goal differential though, which is not good for somebody who's trying to make the playoffs. So usually the teams at the bottom have that negative goal differential. They're one of the few that are actually in a playoff position with a very dreadful goals against. We'll see. Number 3, the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes really had a big drop this week. They lost 4 games in a row now. And some of them were against Detroit. And then the other game that they managed to beat Detroit, they only beat them by 1. So Really, Hurricanes need to turn it around. I'm not sure what that's more telling of, Detroit playing better or Carolina playing very bad. So it's going to bring us to number 2, the Florida Panthers. Man, this has been the year of the Panther down there. They are just rocking this number 2 position pretty much the whole year here. I think they went up to 1 for a time, but they're pretty comfortable at the number 2 spot. They had a big loss to the Preds though, but other than that, they've been really rolling. We'll see if they can continue it on, which brings us back to the Lightning. They are once again on a 3-game winning streak, and talk about a team that can score. They are plus 40 in the goal differential category, so they are just rolling. They also lost to the Panthers this week, or the Predators. So the Predators had quite a good week, beating, as I said, some big teams. So we'll see if the Predators can continue that, and I think the Lightning are most definitely just continue to roll. All right, off to the West. All right, and here we are in the West. We start off with the Ducks in number 8. No change there. And yeah, they got pounded a couple times. 8-4, 5-1 to Arizona. The 8-4 was to Colorado. And yeah, they can't score. Their goal differential is like minus 31. It's not looking good in Anaheim, which just seems weird because Anaheim's always usually so good. Number 7, we have the Sharks. And yeah, they were doing good there, but then this 4-game losing streak this week is really going to hurt them. You know, they were all 1-goal games except for the one 5-2 setback. So most of them were pretty close, within striking distance. Unfortunately, those are the toughest ones to swallow. Brings us to number 6, the Coyotes. Minus 13 goal differential, so they're starting to climb out of it a bit there. But they lost 3 to the Wild. Those 2 wins versus the Ducks seem quite long ago. Then in number 5 we have the Kings, and they did beat St. Louis 4-1, but they lost 3 games to Colorado, which again, it seems to be a theme in this division, and especially this week. You'll see that. Number 4, that brings us to the Wild. So they actually have a plus 12 goal differential. So they're doing good in that half, and they did beat the Ducks 3 times. But they did lose 2 games to Colorado. Big surprise there. Number 3, then we have the Blues. Then we have number 3, the Blues, and they did beat San Jose twice, but then they did lose to Los Angeles 4-1. So yeah, I don't want to bump them up too much because those were Vicks against San Jose, but they weren't going to move into the top 2 spots. The top 2 spots were pretty locked down and have been for most of the year in the West, and that is number 2, the Golden Knights this time. They're on a 5-game winning streak. They're plus 32 in the goal differential category, and they're just playing so good. It's scary to watch them. The only reason they're not number 1 is because some of their games were a little closer, and it's a 5-game winning streak. And then there's number 1 Colorado, and they're on a 6-game winning streak, and they're plus 31 in the goal differential. So the one behind the Golden Knights, but very close. But this week they're just dominating. They won 6-0, 5-1, 8-4, and 4-1. So that's going to get you number 1 spot in the power rankings in the West. And I think the 2 top spots are pretty assured at this point. It's going to take a miracle for the West to change too drastically. All right, we'll see you in the North. Right, and finally we are off to the North. And starting as usual, unfortunately, with number 7, we got the Senators. They losing twice to the number 6 or to the number 5 team. That'll do it to you. It's not going to be good. I mean, the win over Toronto this week, that was a good sign. That was a good start, and at least they got to overtime, both those games against Vancouver. So we'll see. I think they're well and truly too far out. I think them and the Sabres are pretty much officially eliminated now. Not mathematically, but officially. Number 6, we do have the Canadiens. The loss to the Canucks really wrapped up. Oh no, they won tonight. Sorry. And number 6, we have the Canadiens. At least they got that win tonight. Their first, I believe, overtime win of the year. Having 9 overtime losses before this, giving them quite a few points. But that did wrap up their Western Roads trip, and they only won 2 of the 6 games there. They managed to get one against Winnipeg and one against Vancouver, but lost both against Calgary and the other 2 against Winnipeg and Vancouver. So just a tough Western Roads win. We'll see how they bounce back. Then we have number 5, the Canucks. They snapped their 3-game win streak tonight, the game against Montreal. But I think if they do end up missing the playoffs at the end of the year, they're gonna look back and see that it was Montreal. Because they're now done the season series, they're not gonna play in Montreal anymore. Out of the season series, Montreal was able to get 15 points, whereas Vancouver was only able to get 7 out of those games. So with Montreal almost doubling them in the points out of those games, it's going to be really hard for Vancouver to overcome that. Number 5, we had the Flames. Tough week for them. 2 wins, 2 losses. They were against the 2 best teams in this division, so I did give them a little bit of a break for that. Beating both Toronto and Edmonton was really solid. The one game against Edmonton was pretty ugly, but even last night's game against Toronto was a really good game, in control. It seems like a really different team under Sutter. So we'll see how things go. And number 3 brings us to those Leafs. They're staying where they are. They lost to Ottawa and Calgary this week, which isn't a good look for a team that was cruising away in the division at one point. But the win last night, see if that helps them right the ship. They're definitely on shakier ground lately. So we'll see how that goes. Number 2, the Jets. They had a rough week. They lost to the Oilers a couple times, and the one really last night. That one really has to hurt because they were up by 2. And they managed to blow the 2-goal lead for the Oilers to come back and win 4-2. That brings us, of course, to number 1, the Edmonton Oilers. They did it. They finally got there. They scratched their way up. I believe they've been as far down as 5, and then they've worked their way all the way up. So all 3 phases are going. Their defense is playing the best I've seen in years for Edmonton, which is not great, but for Edmonton it's really good. Their goaltending is actually playing very well. And of course, they have the best forwards in the league, so it could really be scary for Edmonton if they can keep this going come playoff time. I think they have a chance of making a real good run. Thanks again for joining me, guys. I really appreciate you guys watching these videos. If you can like them, give them a share. I just really appreciate anything you can do. Once again, you guys have a great evening, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye bye.